Hi guys, John here. What causes chronic fatigue, neurological fatigue, low energy, tiredness, and generally feeling low? If your energy has been, waning over the last couple of months or years, and you've been wondering why you haven't been able to get up and have the vim and visit to get on with your day and to do everything that you need to do, if you don't feel like you can attack your day in a way that is youthful and full of energy and feel like you can take on anything that your day has to throw at you, then you have basically sick, sluggish, and weak adrenals. Adrenals are so important because they provide the energy for everything that you do. Outside of glucose, sugars, things that come into your bloodstream, and all those things that food brings into you, your adrenals have to go 24/7. That's right, even when you're sleeping, your adrenaline is coming in, kicking in. Now, people think of adrenaline as something that, spikes you up and makes you feel like you've just had a coffee and all these sorts of things, and it's not really true. There are 53 different strains of adrenaline. Adrenaline can be as vital and important for having a baby, getting that baby out in the birth in time so that the baby is safe and well, or it can be as simple as going and checking a message on your phone when you hear a beep, going to the letterbox, having some bad news, hearing about a loved one who's lost their life. All of these different occasions that we meet, traffic lights going green, anticipating the start on something, a race or this and that and the other, these are all adrenaline. Your ability to get down and press out 10 press-ups, and if you feel weak while you're doing it, you have low adrenals. So your adrenals become compromised in various ways over the days, weeks, and months of your life, I should say years of your life, by things that we do to ourselves and situations and pressures that we're put under that spend or use up our adrenal resources. And if we're not replenishing those resources at some stage, then our adrenals will become what we call fatigued. Now, there is another type of fatigue which isn't related to the adrenals. It's related to your neurons, your neurological fatigue. That's why the topic today is going to cover chronic fatigue, neurological fatigue, low energy, tiredness, and general feeling of being low on energy, low on enthusiasm, low on happiness and the feeling of well-being. What causes it? Ultimately, I've alluded to your adrenals and how they sit on a day-to-day basis, how they get called on a day-to-day basis. But what we need to understand is that those adrenals, just like your stomach and your digestive system and your need for food and for water, so the adrenals also need certain resources for them to be able to do what they're doing and to continue working hard for you so that you can feel good each day and have the energy and the vitality to be able to do the things you need to do. Continue to carry out your tasks, your job, raise your family, feed the children, make a meal, do all these sorts of things. If you're feeling like you can't face those things, then that's because your adrenals are low. If you feel frazzled and you feel like you can't face your day on a neurological kind of a way, where mentally you feel bombarded, mentally you feel insecure, and mentally you feel that you don't have the strength or the motivation to go through, then you'll have something, and it can be combined. You can have adrenal fatigue and have neurological fatigue at the same time. But we'll start out with the chronic fatigue in terms of adrenals. All right, so part of what causes it, outside of the things that I've just mentioned, is that we can have a low-grade viral infection, mid-grade or high-grade, depending on the type of viruses that we have and their strains. And these low-grade viral infections can cause our bodies to go into stress mode. They can cause our adrenals to be called on a frequent and regular basis, and then therefore cause fatigue for the adrenals because they're working too hard. Now, one of the most common causes of adrenal fatigue, or things that add to adrenal fatigue, is things like stimulants. If we are continually taking stimulants on a day-to-day basis, or even on a week-to-week basis, such as acidifying foods, high fat and protein foods, and chocolate, matcha, kombucha, stimulating foods that are like cacao nibs, cocoa, and various other teas, black teas that have either theobromines in them or caffeine in them. These will all call on your adrenals. In other words, they stimulate the adrenals to be working overtime all the time. So that's the food side of it. And then, of course, more fatty foods that you have, they will also cause the adrenals to be called on, because fatty foods will thicken your blood. They'll cause more pressure on the liver to be able to inhibits the liver from being able to cleanse your blood properly. Your blood will become thick, sticky, and more toxic. And then, of course, the heart has to pump harder, so that's adrenaline coming in, causing the heart to pump harder and faster. And then, of course, adrenaline is a natural blood thinner anyway, so that's coming in to thin your blood out as well. So you have more adrenaline in the bloodstream, causing the liver to have to work harder, because then it's got to try and clean that adrenaline out of the bloodstream. So this is kind of like a vicious cycle. When we bring in foods that aid these viruses and bacteria, such as Epstein-Barr and Streptococcus, that like an acidic environment and a low oxygen environment in the body, when we encourage those by feeding them foods such as eggs, dairy, gluten, corn, and soy, these bacteria and viruses get a big feed. They're feeling very, very happy with their lives, and they're replicating and they're mutating at a high pace. And then as our viral and bacterial load increases, so does our acidity, so does our oxygen environment drop, so we become more anaerobic as opposed to aerobic. The environment in our gut becomes more anaerobic as opposed to what it likes to be, which is more oxygen filled or aerobic. And these bacteria and viruses get a heads up and they get on top of us. Now, we get lots and lots of people come in every week saying, I'm low on energy, what do I do? What can I take for my energy levels? And a lot of them don't like to hear what we have to say. Instead of giving them a pill, which I'd normally recommend, zinc, magnesium, and B12 initially, because everybody needs to be on them and they're all deficient in them. But ultimately, we give them the advice that they should bring in lemon water and honey in the morning, every morning. They should clean up their diet through the morning, not bring in fats and proteins. And then they should, then ultimately bring in lots and lots of fruits, veg, herbs, spices, and berries. The reason we do this, though, is because this brings the oxygen environment up in our intestines, our digestive tract. It brings in foods that help to keep the bacterial viral load low. It replenishes for the liver everything that the body needs to feed the adrenals, and supports the adrenals, gives the adrenals a break. And by reducing the fat and protein, this also gives the adrenals a break. So you don't have as much fat in the bloodstream, you don't have as much acidity, you don't have as lower oxygen saturation in the blood, and you also have the ability for the body to take up nutrients, vitamins, and minerals in a low fat, blood fat environment, so that the body can then have the ingredients that it requires to replenish. And so therefore, we don't have to give the adrenals so much of a break all the time in order for them to revive, because they are naturally revived by the critical things that we put in our bodies, such as the food keeping me out troublemakers that destroy the adrenals, and bringing in the sleep and the various other things such as hydration that all of these organs need to function and to live and function normal so that you can feel normal and have that energy. So these are some of the changes that we need to make. People say to me, after they've listened to the talk, they say, okay, I heard what you had to say. Is there any information that you can send me on, what I can do to get better? Now, we give it verbally in the talks. You're hearing it right now. Bring in the fruit and veg. Drop out some of the fats and proteins. Eggs, dairy, gluten, corn, and soy. Get off the yogurts, get off the cheeses, get off the fats, get off the proteins. Or reduce them heavily is a good start. And bring in more fruit, vegetables, herbs, and spices. So there's the basis of it. Bring in a couple of supplements that are going to help you to support the immune system as well, which will help bring down viral and bacterial load and help to bring up adrenal function. Now there's another reason why we bring these things in. And by the way, I will have all the information available on here. You'll be able to click on some of the questions below. How can I find supplements that will help me and heal me? How can I find information that will help me to further heal? How can I get more information on these issues and how to heal? So those questions will be in the links below when this is actually posted out. But some of the reasons that we want to bring in these changes is because most of us have not only adrenal fatigue, but we also are coupled with neurological fatigue. Now, what's the difference? Neurological fatigue is when it begins to affect the central nervous system. So the adrenals are attached to the central nervous system by way of both of them need each other in order to exist first and foremost. And then of course the bacteria and the viruses, or the viruses particularly, such as Epstein-Barr, shingles virus, cytomegalovirus virus, and all these different viruses, call upon the adrenals through having damaged the central nervous system. So when the central nervous system becomes shot, or basically is on its way out, short-circuiting is going on, the central nervous system then sets off the adrenals to pump more toxic adrenaline and more acidic adrenaline into the body so that the viruses can get their daily dose of adrenaline. That's one of their favorite foods outside of eggs, dairy, gluten, corn, and soy. Now these viruses have a particular taste. They like certain things. They like mercury, they like copper, they like aluminium, and that's where we're going to start getting into the neurological side of things, because these are neuroantagonizers. When those viruses feed on those heavy metals in their raw form, they methylate them through a process that is their digestive systems. Both bacteria and viruses do a process called methylation. And when they're methylating heavy metals and toxins, they are causing those heavy metals and toxins to be turned into a form, almost like a gaseous form, but it's a form of residual waste the virus then excretes after feeding on them that is hypertoxic to the central nervous system. So your neurons, your nerve endings, and all of your electrical circuitry throughout the body, your electrolyte balances and everything that runs on these electrical circuits become damaged and affected. Myelin sheath on the nerves become damaged, holes, impaired, thin, and then sensitivities begin to occur. Now there's no difference for someone who's suffering neurological fatigue to someone who's got sensitivities. If you have sensitivities in your system, that is because you have much more vulnerable nerves. When your nerves are vulnerable, then they begin to become sensitive and you begin to feel things that you never felt before. For example, someone walks past with a perfume on that has formaldehyde in it. It comes into your senses, it comes into your airways, comes into your bloodstream through the airways, soaks in through your skin and your environment, and then triggers an already damaged and raw set of nerve endings or neurons in the brain, wherever it's traveled to, and becomes sensitive, and you become either partially, mildly, acutely, or hyper aware of some change you didn't know what it was. And I just gave perfume as an example because it's one of the big causes of those sorts of sensitivities, because the heavy metals and the toxins involved in those sorts of things, such as scented candles and Glade air fresheners and fly sprays and all these other things, are neuroantagonists. And so when fed on by the virus, pretty much instantaneously, once that virus has digested it, methylated it, and sent it back out into the bloodstream, that's going to go to areas where you have sensitivity, sensitive nerve endings, damaged neurons, and those will begin to play up for you. And you'll notice those in symptom form as inflammation. If they don't come through as inflammation, then they'll come through as neurodegenerative issues, such as brain fog, tiredness, fatigue, inability to face daily situations that would normally be easy for you. Simple tasks become more difficult, neurofunction is degrading, and your physical dexterity goes down. There's a whole lot of things. You can't make your salads as fast as you used to. You don't have the dexterity that you used to do your knitting or whatever you did that you used to be so good at. And so these are chronic deficiencies coupled with major viral infection and damage to both the adrenals and to the neurons. So this is coupled with the other couple of things that I mentioned, low energy, because of course if your system's not up to speed and your adrenals aren't working properly, and you're not digesting your food properly, and you're high in acidity, then that's going to sap your energy. And then tiredness. Of course, if you're low in oxygen and you have an acidic environment, then you're going to yawn a lot more, you're going to be very, very tired, you're not going to have the brain capabilities and functions, and you're going to have that brain fog and slowness of reactions and so on and so forth. So, and then generally feeling low. Obviously, these all affect your hormones and your ability to feel happy, your serotonin levels, your dopamine levels, your adrenal levels, your nortriptyline levels in the body are all going to be down due to deficiency and imbalances in the way that your hormones are working. And of course, if your adrenals are surging, getting low, then getting high, getting low, this is manic depressive, this is depression, all these sorts of things. So these all stem from a big bout of chronic fatigue and neurological fatigue. So hopefully this is making sense to you. And of course your stress and your cortisol levels are going to go up as well. I'm still working on my smoothie. I've been talking so much today, it's taken a long time to get through it. This is my heavy metal detox smoothie. Part of healing is not only bringing in critical foods that can heal us, but also ones that can cleanse us. In here, I have spirulina powder. This is Vimergy from Miami. It's the second cleanest in the world in terms of pollution and toxins and things like that. Barley grass juice powder in this smoothie. Dulse seaweed, and then fresh cilantro from the garden. And the reason for these is because they remove heavy metals and toxins. So I don't have any fats or proteins during the morning. I bring in lemon water and honey. I bring in my celery juice, and then I bring in my smoothie, and that keeps me energized. I still have energy. I still have fruit coming in. I still have sugars coming in. I just don't have any fat or protein coming in. What that does is that keeps me from becoming lethargic and acidic, keeps me in a high oxygen environment, brings in all my minerals, nutrients, vitamins, and everything that I need to clean up in my body and to replenish my body. And then, of course, as I'm doing that, my liver gets an opportunity for the first time that day to clean up house. And then later in the day, as lunch approaches, then I'll go on to my salads and various other things. If I want to have some potatoes, if I want to have some avocado, if I want to have any of these other fats and proteins, then they're all welcome at that time because I've done my cleansing for the morning. Now, if I'm doing a proper cleanse, as it were, someone who's chronic and really needs to heal quick because they've got their job to do and they might take a week off and do a cleanse, they can really speed things up by keeping all fats and proteins out during. Now, don't get me wrong, everything has fat and protein in it, but on a micro level, right? So spirulina, really high in protein. Bananas have fat in them. All these sorts of things, but they're not overt, okay? And so what that does, and it brings in a clean form of those things, and then you'll heal really, really quickly during a short period of time if you're willing to do a cleanse. That means you'll keep your fats and proteins out, bring in a specific protocol through the week or month or whatever it is, time frame that you've got to be able to do that. So there's the acidity side of it. Streptococcus also can play a part in that. So when you've got a bacterial overgrowth in your gut and you've got acid reflux and things like that, that is bad bugs pooping acid into your system, into your esophagus. That is not your gut acid causing that acid reflux. And we did a talk on that. You can go back, click on the link through to the shop, the online store, and you'll see healing page, and then go down to the videos and have a look at acid reflux and any other chronic illnesses that you've got there. We've got them all listed down there in these videos. Covered the adrenals off. We've covered the viral aspect of it, which is the viruses creating these neurotoxins that are damaging our neurological systems, so that creates the neurological fatigue. And then we're looking at the foods and the remedies that we can begin to heal. So flushing the system, staying hydrated, bringing in critical cleansing foods, bringing in fruit and veg, bringing in herbs and spices, bringing in wild foods and berries, and then of course bringing in the zinc, bringing in the magnesium, and of course bringing in the B12, critical for healing, and then of course loading up on detoxes, heavy metal detoxes, stuff that chelates or binds to heavy metals and toxins in the body and in the bloodstream and the organs and takes them out of the body. And also by bringing down the fat on our body, by keeping the fats and proteins out, so you lose weight, you bring down the fat. Those fats contain a lot of, bad toxins and things like that, and then viral waste. And so you end up getting rid of those as well, and the liver can package those up and send those out. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you've suffered from chronic fatigue, neurological fatigue, tiredness, feeling low, and just generally feeling lethargic, haven't touched on COVID, haven't touched on long COVID, haven't touched on any of these other things. All of them are caused virally and bacterially, and deficient with other deficiencies. Hence the reason for some of those basic supplements. We have a store here, as you know. We have everything that I've talked about in here. Feel free to go onto the website organicnotion.co.nz if you want to pick up some products. If you want more information, it's all free. Go onto the website, click on the links. If you found this information to be helpful, please like and share it and send it on to others. And you'll see all my other videos there as well on the website page, organicnation.co.nz. If you want to email us, it's info@organicnation.co.nz. If you want to call us, it's 07 848 1155, and we are here, weekdays and Saturdays till 2, and we are here to answer your questions. Any information you want, just drop me a message or a comment, and I'll answer you back as soon as I get it. And then the rest of the information will be where those buttons are, where you can just click through. Where can I get more information? What supplements should I be taking? All these sorts of things. And we'll be happy to help you out in any way. Look forward to seeing you again next Saturday. Sorry I was a bit late today. So many customers to talk to, and it just got away on me. So grateful that I'm able to be here talking to you about these things, and I look forward to hearing your stories about how you're healing. And for those who are at their wits' end and don't know what to do, please contact us. We'll help you through. Great. Good to see you again, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Please share this, like it, and forward it on to others that you think may be able to benefit from it as well. Bless you.